Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio. Ours is a place where dreams take flight, voices are heard, and stories are shared. This is where cultures meet, connections are formed, and ideas are transformed into action. This is your destination for authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives, and meaningful conversations. We're where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover our world of education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our USA Global TV channel and download our USA Global TV app. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. With heartfelt thanks to our executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, music scored by Yifei Tang from Cloud Road Music, creative direction by Paul Garcia, and I'm Al Cini, and I'm very proud to be part of the USA Global TV and Radio family. So join us here at USA Global TV and Radio. Make us your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication, or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited. Thank you for being a part of our global community. Let's inspire together.
Get ready for Talking Heads, the show where expert insights meet world-class education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. Brought to you by USA Global TV and Radio. Meet our distinguished presenters. From the great state of Texas, longevity expert, award-winning author, publisher, and distinguished Toastmaster, Red O'Loughlin. From London, England, soul heart awakener, novelist, vocal coach, and artist, Dr. Madeline Chan. Also from England, the Harley Street stress expert, therapist, ambassador for peace, and speaker, Carolyn Heward. And from Australia, ICF PCC credentialed coach, entrepreneur, and leadership coach, Mariska Dupria. Experience their expertise, connect with their wisdom, and transform your perspective. Watch Talking Heads on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. This video and its contents are the property of USA Global TV and Radio. All rights reserved. Terms and conditions apply. Visit usaglobaltv.com for more details.
Howdy, y'all. Red O'Loughlin here. We're on Talking Heads on the USA TV and Radio Network, and I'm just enjoying another absolutely wonderful day here in the Houston, Texas area. For the last few weeks, I've been talking about hallmarks of aging and what can be done about it. And as I'm doing my research, I come across this hallmarks of cancer and the hallmarks of health. And I thought to myself, there's a lot of hallmarks out there, and I probably need to be at least aware of what they are, especially if it has something to do with the cellular level in the body, which is where I do most of my research. So as a researcher, I write and I speak, I write books about it, publish them, but I also have an opportunity on the USA Global TV and Radio Network to provide information that I think is of a lot of value. So my shows are for awareness and education, health and wellness, primarily focused on longevity, primarily focused on age-related diseases. So as we begin today, let me go ahead and bring up my slides and let's talk about what are the hallmarks of health. And this is going to be more than just a single series. This is going to be more than one. So on Amazon Fire, Zizzle TV, E360 TV, YouTube, a couple of channels there, Android TV and Apple TV, a lot of social media. In fact, I have it simulcast on 2 of my Facebook channels and more. And there's a lot of audio after the fact. All of this is live streaming right now. And again, my shows are for awareness and education. I can be found at redolaughlin.com. That's red like the color, R-E-D, O'Loughlin spelled O-L-A-U-G-H-L-I-N, redolaughlin.com. A lot of ways to reach me there, my phone number, my contact information, emails, etc. I have a number of books. The one I'm looking at today that we're talking about is called Ageless Health. And I have a lot of stuff in there, not necessarily to the same level, but it covers the same material in a different way. But I think it's pretty important. So our shows are on YouTube primarily. You can find the live streams there. You can find the archives. And I also have a series of archives on my website also. I'm a researcher. I've never been in the medical or pharmaceutical fields. My first love in life was chemistry in high school. I fell in love with it, got a degree in it. I got a bunch of other degrees after that, have even more professional certifications in various areas. I spent 31 years in the Navy, a naval aviator, retired as a captain, been to over 60 countries in the world. I look primarily for cause and effect relationships. I was trained when I was at Halliburton to look at how our tools, how our services failed. And I looked at that and said, can we apply that same thing to the body? But you got to get down to the cellular level to see it. So you treat a cause, you fix a problem. You treat symptoms, yeah, you might feel better, but the cause is still there. Just recently, in fact, this month, my wife and I have been married 57 years, got a couple kids, 3 grandkids, and 1 great grandson about a year and a half. Best-selling author. I have 6 books. I have 2 more I'm working on right now. And I'm an independent publisher, probably about 50 books for other authors. Distinguished Toastmaster. I have over 1,000 original content articles published on LinkedIn. Again, my information is educational. I'm an international TV host. I was number 2 and number 6 last year for the USA Global TV and Radio Network for my show, The Wise Ones. And this year for all shows, the first 6 months, I was the number 1 broadcaster, number 1 TV host. Okay, my Joy of Ageless Health book is what we're talking about today. And let's just get right into this thing. A lot of slides to go through. So hallmark, what's a hallmark? It's a fundamental characteristic. And when you look at a hallmark, it's generally a crucial role in a problem, or it's the causative role in a problem. So if I have a health success or a health problem, the hallmark is there to tell me that's probably one way to measure it. Health, the state of being free and free of illness and injury. So that's a pretty standard one. But a hallmark of health is slightly different. It's the activities that maintain the integrity of our body's health, basically our psychological, physiological well-being. A lot of technical terms in today's presentation. I'm going to try to make a lot of sense out of them for you. But when we're looking at hallmarks of health, the people that talk this language all the time are your biologists, your geneticists, your researchers, and others. And so they have certain things that they mean by certain terminology. So, and some of the terminology we'll be using today and next week and probably the week after that is spatial compartmentalization, maintenance of homeostasis, adequate stress response. And again, I'm going to be going into a lot of detail so you understand what these things are without having to worry about the long words. The psychosocial adaptation, integrity of barriers, homeostatic resilience, hormesis regulation, repair and regeneration, and a few others. I think there's 12 total. So we're going to go into each one of those and we're going to dive deep in, but we're going to keep it at a real clear level. What's actually going on? What causes things to happen? What are they? What options might be available to you? What happens when you ignore these things? And with just about everything that we've been talking about forever on my show, it's been quite a few, more than a couple of years, the basic lifestyle choices that you make every single day, what you eat, your exercise, your sleep, your stress management, all of those things go straight into your overall health, your risk of disease. But most importantly, everything starts at the cellular level in the body. So when I look at nutrition, exercise, sleep, stress management, mental stimulation, healthy relationships, avoiding toxins, avoiding alcohol, avoiding smoking, those are things that we have choices about every day. It's not like I have to go down and get a certain pill or do a certain thing. No, these are things we do every day that cost literally nothing to speak of. Obviously, you have to pay money for food, but if you're avoiding smoking and alcohol, you don't have to pay for that. If you read labels, you can avoid toxins. But having healthy relationships, managing your stress and other things, most of that stuff is free. Other than the food, now you may have a gym membership because you prefer to exercise in a gym, but there are really little cost associated with having a healthy body. Let's start with the first one, spatial compartmentalization. What does that really mean? Well, when you do talk about compartmentalization, you're talking about organizing things by function. Think about a company. You have a marketing group here, bookkeeping, you have operations, you have research, you have different organizations within a company. Same thing in a cell. It's organized by function. And so long as those functions are separate and they're doing their job, everything's fine. So spatial compartmentalization prevents interference between different cellular processes. So if I have one that's dealing with structure and another one's dealing with communications, keeping them separate is what that particular function is. That's a hallmark of health. So if I'm looking at regulating cellular signaling, I want to make sure those signals are complete and accurate. If I'm looking at the cellular structure, the function, I want to make sure that the cell's integrity is maintained at all times. Each one of these things are critical. If I want to prevent cellular damage, what kind of protection am I providing the cell? When I was brand new to the Navy, a naval aviator way back when, one of the first lectures they gave us was Sex of the Naval Aviator Part 2. And one of the primary focuses of a naval aviator to separate that person from literally everyone else was compartmentalization. The ability to operate in that environment, at that moment, in that section, do that job, thank you very much, and destroy, move to the next one. And I thought that was kind of interesting. And there are so many things I can tell you about that movie that were so dead on with regard to who I am, my psychological profile, because it's really a psychological profile of a naval flight person. And it doesn't matter whether you're a pilot, ground crew, whatever, anybody in that aviation industry had similar psychological profiles. But when we get back to the biological aspects of our body, we're talking about the aspects, all aspects of the cell functioning properly. So that spatial compartmentalization deals with that. So how does damage to the cell affect this spatial compartmentalization? Well, we have a lot of things inside our bodies that can do damage. You know, pathogens, bacteria, viruses, fungi, and sometimes you have genetic defects. But a lot of times we put on shampoo, lotions, underarm deodorant, and these personal care products have a lot of chemicals in them. Sometimes even the foods we eat, a lot of toxins there. So if you read labels and you know what's there and you know what to avoid, that helps a lot. Just the aging process by itself, we just don't make things like we used to as we get older. A lot of physiological stress. And they occur at multiple levels in the body, not only at the cell, but in the tissues and the organs. And it's just a cascade of things that go out over time. Starts out very small. Yeah, our immune system takes care of it. Thank you very much. And then all of a sudden, immune system can't handle it. There's too much stuff going on. So as we go through this discussion, it's again a incremental increase that over time builds up to a level that our bodies can't handle. But we do have options. So what options do we have that we can inhibit this degradation to spatial compartmentalization? Well, when you look at the structure of the molecule, the cell, it's an organic molecule, and they have what's called a phospholipid bilayer. Our body makes 4 different phospholipids, and it's used primarily in the various parts of the body, our brain. In fact, a lot of times when you start running low on what's called phosphatidylserine, it's one of the 4 phospholipids, it gives you symptoms of Alzheimer's. I've seen family and others that go down to the store, buy phosphatidylserine, take it 2 months later, they are like there was no Alzheimer's. But that's one of many causes of Alzheimer's. And just because you fix that one doesn't mean there's another half a dozen down the road. So it's not a total fix, but it's a partial fix. And just like our cells, we need to maintain the integrity of that phospholipid layer. So what kind of foods? Eggs, liver, seafood, leafy greens, those all support the kinds of things that that cell needs for nutrition. Cholesterol, our body makes it, we get in our diet, and the membranes in our cells absolutely have to have it. Cholesterol is needed everywhere in the body. And so if I'm not making it in my body, I'm getting it from my diet. But I need cholesterol. Then you have the layer, you have the cholesterol, but I also need some level of carbohydrates, glucose, that can attach to these proteins and lipids, because that's part of the integrity of that layer. So I have these lipids out there, these little oils, fats, and as such, we rely on the triglycerides we get primarily from our foods, although we can synthesize it in our liver if we don't have enough. But generally speaking, our liver goes through a process called lipogenesis that converts that glucose into what is needed. And so we look at the LDL, HDL in the bloodstream. We have fat stored in our bodies. So depending on what the body needs, generally speaking, if you're feeding it from a health perspective, it's there. If you have a little extra fat stored around your gut, your body can extract that fat and do what it needs. So there's a lot of things there the body can do by itself, but you got to provide it the raw materials. Again, with spatial compartmentalization, one of the functions is what they call regulation of cellular signaling. And if the body is responding to, let's say that I'm in a overly hot environment and the body starts to sweat, well, that's a response to that heat that's out there. If I'm in an area that requires something else, maybe I'm stressed, my blood pressure is going to go up, my other functions are going to, so things happen that's going to disrupt the signaling capability within the body. What are those things? Well, genetic mutations. But again, you're looking at a very low area, 5%, maybe 10, depending on things. But generally speaking, genetic mutations happen if I'm looking at the genes I get from my parents. But if I'm looking at genes that are being disrupted 24/7 in our body and our DNA, that's happening literally 24/7. Pathogens, your bacteria, your viruses, your fungi, toxins, again, chemicals that are coming in that we either eat or put on our skin, pollution, and they cause a lot of problems because the cells are not communicating the way they should, and as such, we get feedback saying, "Okay, I got this problem here." The immune system goes out, takes care of it, boom, it's done. We're not getting that response. The body is not responding like it should, and as such, things happen. Many of your cancers, type 2 diabetes, neurodegenerative diseases, your Parkinson's, your Alzheimer's, etc., autoimmune disorders, and more. A lot of things there. In fact, I'm noticing here just something I've been researching this past week on autoimmune disorders, that ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease, MS, a lot of things there can be easily controlled by nicotine patches because nicotine has some magic work that it does in there to stabilize things. So nicotine patches is a possible thing to talk to your doctor about. So just moving right along here. What inhibits the degradation of spatial compartmentalization? In other words, these things we just talked about happen and cause a problem. But what can I do as my own body's manager? What can I do to stop some of that degradation from happening? So we're looking at communications. We're looking at the communications outbound and the communications inbound. So we have these feedback loops, and I want to optimize them. So I have certain expected responses when things go back and forth. It's a feedback. So what maintains good communications? Again, a lot of lifestyle issues. Antioxidants keeps that inflammation level down. Healthy fats to supply that structural integrity to the cells. Your proteins, because the proteins are needed as part of that structure. Hydration. You start having problems with hydration, lots of issues happen in the body. Sleep. Most of your repairs are done. In fact, all your repairs are done literally while you're asleep. So you need that good quality sleep to get that repair mechanism fully functional and operational. So if you're not getting good quality sleep, you're not allowing the body to repair itself. So you give it what it needs, then it has those things. And a lot of repair mechanisms need sulfur. So sulfur-laden vegetables are one of those things that really and truly helps the body repair itself. Exercise, kind of hard to believe that if I go out and exercise, I actually be helping things. But the exercise gets more blood through more oxygen. It's just the less exercise you do, the higher the risk you are for problems down the road. Limit your toxins, manage your stress. Those are all things we can do that will improve our feedback loops within the cells, within the body. So what causes destruction of the cellular structure and its function? In other words, the cell is down there, all of a sudden the structure starts to come under attack. Well, immune system is there, takes care of it. But over time, more and more of it happens. Like I say, 24/7, we're having this free radical damage, a lot of inflammation, a lot of oxidation, a lot of stuff is going on that can destroy that cell. We're not getting the right nutrients we need, nutrient deficiency. We're not just getting what we need, and as a result, things start to crumble a little bit. What causes that? Well, trauma. You have an injury, a lot of damage is done to that part of the body. Chemicals, again, toxins are all over the place, pathogens. You know, how many times we talk about that with regard to COVID, the virus that was there that everybody was fighting all the time. But that also complicated things with other bacteria because you're a weakened immune system. And I'm reading more and more stuff nowadays on parasites, so I think I'm going to have to do a presentation on that down the road. But a lot of issues there with pathogens. Immune system malfunction. Well, what causes that? There are a lot of things, and we've talked about it in the past, but your immune system is set up if you've got a good health microbiome, everything is working well. But if you're not feeding your gut what you need to do, over time, you're going to have a problem. Nutritional deficiencies. Again, a lot of this is not necessarily the mere fact that you have that happening. It's the severity of it and the duration. So if the body can repair itself, you really don't even notice it. But if the body is overwhelmed, now you have a problem and the repair capability can't keep up with the damage. Star Trek is one, they get hit with a laser beam or a torpedo or something, and they ask for damage control, and they all report back in. And okay, fine, we can fix that, and they do whatever they need to do. Well, the body's the same way. We have repair capability for most everything that's happening, but you have to provide the ability of the body to do that. And a lot of that is the raw materials from the things we eat and the other stuff that we do. Another aspect of spatial compartmentalization, how do we inhibit the degradation of that cellular structure? We just talked about that. Well, antioxidants, that goes down from the foods we eat, provides the body with that anti-inflammatory response that keeps everything low. Low-level cellular inflammation is literally the genesis of just about every disease that's out there. So if you can keep that cell at a very, very low level of inflammation, oxidation, that's what we need. Autophagy, fasting. Let's see, what is it right now? 110. I'm 95 hours into a fast. I usually do a 72-hour fast every month. Right now I'm at 90, almost 96 hours. And I'll be probably doing it for another, maybe 120, 150, I don't know. But at least 120 hours, I'm going to go another day without eating. But I find that fasting is probably one of the most healthy things you can do. We have our things our body makes called heat shock proteins, and they come from an external heat source like a sauna. And when these are formed because of this external heat, they actually help the body repair itself, fight the things that are going on. And so we need all sorts of things that are going on, and our body adapts as it's happening. But if I want a functioning immune system, which really is the core of my repair and my repair mechanism for my body and defense, then I need a balanced gut health. And that requires, again, eating the right stuff and doing those things. So what causes the cellular damage? Well, extreme temperatures. If I have, let's say my temperature is 104, because I have something going on, bacteria, virus, that's causing a lot of cellular damage. Radiation, if I'm outside in the sun for a long period of time, that's causing a lot of skin level, cellular level damage. So if I end up with a sunburn, okay. If I end up with blistering, a different level of severity. Chemicals, toxins, what are we putting on our bodies? What are we eating? So if we can limit those and minimize those, again, we're protecting our cells and our bodies. The pathogens we've talked about, they create havoc everywhere. If our immune system is fully functional, it should not be a major problem. But sometimes you just get overwhelmed. We get stressed out. Too many things are happening. We're not dealing with that stress in a effective way, and all of a sudden we're sick. And that sickness again affects the cellular operations in the body. Oxidative stress, inflammation at the cellular level is what that is. Nutritional imbalances. If I need magnesium, which a lot of us are deficient in, vitamin D3, again, a major deficiency. There are certain things that we're not getting, or we think we're getting. In other words, I take a pill and I'm expecting that to cover all of my calcium. Well, maybe that pill doesn't have the right kind of calcium that's easily absorbable. Or maybe it has a synthetic vitamin E, of which there are 8. And when you take one and you make it a synthetic, it's like you're not getting any at all. We have our genes that might disrupt things. Our age. Sometimes as we get older, we're not breathing as well. And so oxygen deprivation becomes a factor because I'm not getting that blood flow, that oxygen right to the area of the body that it needs it. And again, if I'm not treating my immune system properly, it's going to dysfunction. It's going to start attacking me. So what inhibits or prevents this cellular damage? Antioxidants, those are the foods we eat. The heat shock proteins I talked about a minute ago. But we also have another protein aspect to our body. proteins fold a certain way. And when they don't fold a certain way to do its job, we have this body function. It's called unfolded protein response, UFR. And as I'm operating fully functional, that process is working right. We fold the proteins the right way, boom, boom, boom. But sometimes they don't fold properly and they get out of the in the environment and they don't function as they should. So I end up with certain kinds of things. My DNA is damaged. It's not responding properly to the things. Certain drugs come in and create problems. So a lot of the unfolded protein response is due to our lifestyle choices. So what diseases are associated with spatial compartmentalization? Well, neurodegenerative, your Alzheimer's, your Parkinson's, a lot of those, anything that in the brain that's affecting our cognition. Cancers, just about all of them, because the cells are not providing the health and wellness, the fully functional things that our bodies need. Well, cancers are allowed to develop. The autoimmune system can't handle that level of finding it and destroying it. Metabolic disorders, we're looking at obesity, we're looking at diabetes. A lot of things are in there in that metabolic world, again, because the cells are not providing the proper, they're getting the feedback they need, but they're not responding accordingly. So a happy cell, happy body, yeah, that's for that particular one. But there are another 11 aspects of health, and that's what we're going to go into now. I have one that I'm going to go into, and we'll see how far that goes. Another one is a hallmark. It's called maintenance of homeostasis. And homeostasis means our body systems are in balance. In other words, homeostasis, I have let's say my blood pressure. I want to keep it in a certain range. Well, some things are going to spook me. My blood pressure raises, but my body moves on blood pressure back down to normal. If I have a certain temperature, I get out in cold weather, I get out in hot weather, my body will maintain a blood. There's so many things in our body that homeostasis maintains that level of operating area. So, and adjustments are made 24/7 continuously. I mentioned blood, body temperature, blood pressure, but there's so many more. Every aspect of our body is maintained to a certain level, and we want to maintain that at a healthy level. And if we start getting off kilter, and all of a sudden I'm maintaining a sick level, the body's maintaining that because it doesn't know better how to fix it. So I'm looking at internal stability, equilibrium of all the systems in the body, all my organs, all the things that are working properly. So if I can maintain that homeostasis, then my body's happy, healthy. So I want a stable internal environment. What degrades that? What causes my stability, my balance to literally go out of balance? Well, as external environmental changes, the internal does not. In other words, I mentioned it gets hotter outside, I start to sweat. People piss me off. Okay, my stress levels go up. Lots of things happen, and we have to be able to deal with it. Well, with toxins, the way we deal with it, we look at labels and we don't choose those products. Pollutants, air filters, a lot of things we can do to minimize water filters, the pollutants that are there. In fact, most of your public water systems have more dissolved prescription drugs that are never taken out of the system than the normal filtering the cities do for their water supplies. Extreme temperatures, radiation. Talked about that with the sun. But you can also have radiation from the blue light here on my computer screen. I get deluged all day long here in front of my computer. So my eyes are taking abuse. It may affect my sleep, pathogens, a lot of things. So I have genes that I need to worry about. I need to keep in balance my nutrient, my genes. If I end up with a lot of mutations that my immune system can't handle, my nutrient imbalance, my oxidative stress, all of these things stress that internal environment in my body. And it should be able to respond perfectly well and fix things. But sometimes it just gets overwhelmed. So if I have lack of exercise, poor quality sleep, I'm abusing some kind of substance, chronic stress, disease aging, all of these things increase the risk of many diseases, but they're also the things that we can control that actually have an effect on maintaining our body's ability to respond appropriately. What diseases are increased because of this damage to our homeostasis? Well, a lot of allergies are brought on, hypersensitivity. I had one, I love tomatoes. I was living in New Orleans, and all of a sudden I'm eating a tomato and my lips are burning. And I can't figure out why. All of a sudden I'm allergic, hypersensitive to tomatoes. Now I know why. I didn't know back then. I'm a runner. Back then, after a race, we would pull over to the beer stand, get a beer. One beer was fine. Two beers, I'd have headaches. I mean, really bad headaches. And so I had to be very careful. Our bodies change over time. And sometimes it's because our bodies can't respond to the signaling that's coming in. We end up with metabolic disorders, diabetes being one of the main ones. Obesity is another. Neurodegenerative issues, cancers, heart failure, hypertension. Lots and lots of things go awry when our bodies can't respond to the external stimuli or the internal stimuli in the case of pathogens, because our body can't react the way it's supposed to. So what can we do to inhibit that cellular attack that changes things? We're back to lifestyle factors. Our diet. Make sure we're eating the right kinds of foods that support cellular health. If we're supporting that cellular health, we're supporting the whole body. We're supporting our gut health. We're supporting our immune system. Exercise, and it's just not going out and running a mile. It can be walking. It can be swimming. But it has to be something. As you get older, maybe you need to spend more attention, not so much on endurance, but maybe on balance and strength and flexibility. Stress management, I think that's one area that most of us ignore. If you're exercising a lot, great. But if you're not, that stress management may be involved with breathing exercises, with some level of meditation. But there should be something you're doing daily to minimize that stress in your life. And most people say, well, nothing stresses me. But then but then you get home, you're away from your coworkers, you're away from your boss, you have the traffic coming home, you got a spouse, you may have kids, grandkids, you may have a lot of things going on, bills. Stress comes from so many ways, and we reach out there and grab a hold of it, and we don't let go. You have to let that stuff go. Alcohol, smoking, cessation, antioxidants, injuries, we want to try to avoid it, but sometimes they happen. Just no matter what, they happen. It's a balancing act. We have to be consistently, continuously attentive to what's going on in our environment and our body. Okay, continue on here with maintenance of homeostasis. Loss of cellular communication. We talked just a brief minute ago about how the cells communicate back and forth, but that actual loop, that not just in the cell, but we're going to start walking out into the actual feedback mechanism itself. What that feedback is critical. It's got to go two ways. It's got to go out, make this happen, come back. Okay, that's happening right. So it's sending it out. It's getting feedback. It actually happened the way I want. Great. That's the way things are supposed to work. So I end up with mutations, DNA. They can usually be fixed by our body. Pathogens, our immune system should be able to handle most of them. But if our immune system is degraded, we're starting to be in that category that you're at risk. Environmental, and so if I end up with a lot of these things happening, my inflammation levels go up. And inflammation is a fairly easy thing to measure. There's a protein called C-reactive protein. It doesn't tell you where in the body you have inflammation, but it will tell you in your whole body what your inflammatory level is. So you get a test, it says 3.0. If it says 0, you're in super good health. So talk to your doctor about a C-reactive protein, or go down to the local lab. It might cost you $40, but you can get a C-reactive protein test, and that's a super good way of saying, I have this happening. I need to know what's going on. If you get a C-reactive and it's 30, something is really going on in your body and you don't know. If you're not getting an annual physical, maybe something is going on that you don't want going on and you don't even know about it. So measuring inflammation, I get that every year on my physical, and most of the time it's unmeasurable or it's less than 0.25. Impaired autophagy, one of my favorite topics. Autophagy is the process the body uses to actually go to every single cell in the body, clean out all the debris, the leftover, the mess that's there just from the normal operation of the cell. The cell is there creating energy, doing a lot of different functions. And as a result, things wear out, things break. And you end up with just this huge amount of trash, garbage that's in the cell. So autophagy is a process the body visits each cell, removes all of this debris, takes a look at what is broken, recycles it, and gives it back to the cell. And how do you do that? Literally only by fasting. And so looking at fasting, somewhere around 16, 18 hours, you turn on the switch for autophagy. Somewhere around 72 hours, autophagy is operating at 100%. So if you're cleaning your body out all the time, your brain cells, your liver cells, your lung cells, you're helping your body to function better because it's not operating. Consider that you're in a bedroom and somebody's bringing you your meal every day. And all of a sudden your room is just piled high of just all sorts of containers and trash. And without autophagy, that room never gets cleaned up. And that's what autophagy is. Within that homeostasis, if I'm looking at my cellular communication degraded, what can I do about it? Well, eating the right kind of foods. I'm looking at nutrient-dense foods. I'm looking at antioxidants, healthy fats, hydration. Hydration is something that I think most of us really don't pay much attention to. And it's just not the fact that you're having hydration. I've switched over now where what I try to do every morning, it happens most mornings, is I take about 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt. I have Celtic salt or Himalayan salt, and I put it in a bottle of water. And then I'll add a lime or a lemon or both and squeeze it in there. So I have water with salt. Again, a lot of nutrients. I think in the Himalayan salt, there's about 70 or 80 different kinds of very different kinds of chemicals that the body needs, nutrients. But our bodies need that hydration to maintain everything. But again, everything we're looking at here is a lifestyle issue. And our pathways that I talked about a minute ago, that's what I want to go down, are the things that we really, it's not the cell, but it's also the pathway. It's one of those aspects of health. So I got the cellular health, but I also have that pathway that gets out to everything. So there's several, but I'm only going to talk about 3 right this minute, and just very briefly. We have sirtuins. There's 7 of them in the body. They do certain functions in the cell around the DNA. I have AMPK and mTOR. There's a couple there with mTOR. That's mammalian target of rapamycin. And they work a certain way. When they're working fine, that flow goes back and forth. But if they get degraded, now something happens. Genes or DNA are having mutations. Toxins get in there, disrupt things. The aging process. Again, we're not making things like we used to. Human growth hormone. By the time you're 70 years of age, you're making maybe 10% of what you made as a toddler. Pathogens are always there. They create all sorts of different problems, and they affect the pathways. I end up with chronic low-level cellular inflammation. Again, the genesis of almost every disease. So I look at cancer, metabolic diseases, neurodegenerative, your Alzheimer's, your Parkinson's, etc. So those are all things that are happening because of this maintenance of homeostasis that is not being addressed and maintained. So I want to maintain it. I want to adapt and survive. I want to live to fight another battle. And sirtuins, as I'm reading a book right now, it's interesting because they're saying it's not the hallmarks of aging that I talked about last week and a few weeks before that. It's the sirtuins and a couple others. They're talking about information flow in the body. And they're talking about how these sirtuins are actually at the DNA level doing things. And because we're losing that ability, they're actually saying if I splice a different sirtuin in, I may have a different result in my aging. I'm exploring it. I do a lot of research all the time. But I'm thinking they're playing a major role in aging, and it's something to look at in a lot more detail. So I'll come back next week and we'll talk about some more hallmarks of health, look at what they are, explain them in detail, make it clear. How do we support it? What happens? What causes it to degrade? And what diseases might we expect as a result of that one? So I think our bodies are in pretty good shape. We just need to be able to handle them accordingly to become healthy and maintain that health in all aspects of our life. That being said, I wish you the best, and we'll take care and catch you all next week. Bye, y'all.
Get ready to wear the brand that's changing the world of media. Introducing the official USA Global TV and Radio online store. From our TV show hosts to our incredible global guests, you asked, we delivered. Rep your appearance with pride. Whether you've been on air, hosted a show, or tuned in, we have something just for you. Visit us at usaglobaltvradioshoп.myspreadshop.com and start shopping today. Check back frequently. We're dropping fresh new designs all the time. Showcase your role in our global community. These designs celebrate your voice, your story, your presence. It's more than just merchandise. It's a movement of hope, inspiration, education, and elevated listening. Head to usaglobaltvradioshoп.myspreadshop.com. Your spotlight awaits. USA Global TV and Radio. Elevate your style. Elevate the world.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA-Global-TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dyes. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.